hello. I hope everybody is good tonight. I hope that you can hear me and that we don't have any buffing. I've got my satellite antenna on the ground out there tonight. It looks like I got a clear view of the northern sky, but you know, anything could happen. I hope everybody is doing well. If you could, let me know if you hear me okay. If you have me here, I've got. I think Dina's at her dad's. We're parked at her dad's house, so I think Dina's over there. She may be online, but I know she was doing something for her dad a few minutes ago. Everybody hear me okay? Okay, great. Well, let me show you a quick little video and then we'll talk about it. Something that I hadn't been really paying attention the last couple of days because we've been out, just got back from out west.
Tomorrow also marks 2 years since Summer Wells went missing out of Hawkins County, and the TBI continues to search for the 7-year-old. Today, in fact, they put out an age progression photo of Summer, showing what she would look like today. Artists with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children were the ones who create this photo. You could call 1-800-TBI-FIND if you have any information on Summer's disappearance.
You know, that's for them to come out and with this age progression. This happened like last week. You know, that age progression photo there on there looked pretty. It looked close to what she probably would look like. They really hit a home run there. But they're saying when they do that is that they believe she may be still alive. Now, you know, I really thought, I'll be honest with you, when all this happened, this was what my thinking was. I really thought the parents were involved with this because they jumped to the fact that she was kidnapped. That was the first thing out of their mouth. She'd been kidnapped. But you live down a road that is pretty much the way I understand it, was the only house down that particular road. You know, that wouldn't have been my first thought. I would have thought that they were lost or something in the woods. But I just kind of think that, and you know, and I'm not sure what the police know because they're not saying, but I sorry about that little buffing going on here. They maybe knew that somebody had a grudge for them, and they actually maybe took her. Mac, isn't it 3 years? I thought it was 3 years, but maybe it is 2. How old would that make her if that was if that age progression was right? How old would that make her? Let me see if I got, here's another picture of it. It does look a little old, but you know, it's difficult when you're doing an age progression to keep it constantly in that that age bracket. But the way they did this, the eyes, the nose, the hair length, the shape of the face, it does actually look a little like what I would think she would look like. And of course, we're not sure if when they do these are kind of done by computers, so they're going with the computer and how the computer believes that she would look like. So you know, it may look a little old, but it does. I guess if you go into it thinking, well, that looks a little old, because if I consider that with me, yes, that does look a little low. It would look about 15 or 16 to me. But they're just trying to get some kind of facial, not considering her body style or anything else, or her age, some type of facial that would be similar to what she might look like. That's all that is. It's kind of weird though, you know. Um, we also, before we get into tonight too, want to also please remember to pray for Hawaii, uh, Maui, and there's a fire on the Big Island. A couple of them on the Big Island too. I believe the Big Island will not be wiped out like Maui was, because that hurricane that was actually causing all that wind has passed by the island. So, and they're having some rain and stuff like that. So they'll probably get control of those fires. But it wiped out Maui. It just took everything. That old historic front street, just it's gone. The only thing they're hoping, they'll save that big tree, 105-year-old tree that was in that area down there. We got, my daughter's got friends she went to school with that are from Maui, and they even took her over to Maui, and they stayed a few weeks over there and went out to all the local haunts and stuff. So we're really hoping and praying that they are okay. Their family's okay. I have sent messages through Facebook on for them, but and asking how they were, but I have not heard anything as of yet. Hang around tonight too for me and Tony. We've got an amazing story, and I want to touch on base for a minute. Uh, Tony brought this to my attention today. I'll just be honest with you, I hadn't been paying attention to the news, I guess, but there is a part of South America that we're going to talk about that is convinced that they are under attack from aliens and UFOs, and they've got pictures, some things that are going on, and so we're going to talk about that. If you can hang around at 8 o'clock, it's going to be pretty interesting. I'll tell you about that. It's going to be pretty interesting. Let's see here. That wasn't what I've got a couple of things I've been trying to do here. Yeah, those are all from this that's coming up. Um, Also, back in the Michael Vaughn case, the charges against Sarah Woods have been dropped in that case. If you remember, this is the case when Michael disappeared, and they charged her with something to do with a corpse, and they charged her with something else, never with murder, but and they dug up her yard with a backhoe, dug up the neighbor's yard with a backhoe where she lived once before. But now, just like the Barry Morphy case, they dropped the charges in this case, and probably because they just can't prove it right now. They can't prove that she was involved. And this is a little bit of the article here. It says that charges against the woman detained in connection with the case, Michael Monkey Vaughn, out of Fruitland, Idaho, had been dropped. She was charged with failure to notify police of a death. That's right. If you were putting her, you charge somebody with failure to notify police of death, that pretty much says that you were there when the child was killed or knew about how he was killed. She had been in custody in Idaho since her mental health evaluation mid-November. This is back mid-November, so a good while anyway. Found her to be incompetent. So she was, that's probably why they couldn't get anything out of her, because she. Sorry about that. I'm a little shocked that satellite's not picking up and rebuffing like this, because it's got a clear view of the sky. I don't know what the problem is. Maybe because we've had so much rain up here, and we are very clouded in, and it's storming. It's trying to rain again as we speak. Um, but mental health officials and the judge agreed the defendant is confident to proceed. And that was when, but they since, like I said, they've since dropped the charges in this, um, in these cases. Also, we want to talk about here this Michael Vaughn case, the Michael Chambers case, a little bit here. Now I'm going to tell you, they're trying to say, first the sheriffs came out, and I'm going to read you some of this. They said that they don't know how he died, but he is saying, the sheriff just all of a sudden says, I think he committed suicide. He staged his own suicide. And this was, and said, was this a murder? Were the sheriff saying he believes that he staged his own suicide? Now, how? That's what I say. How did he do that? They say he planted the blood and everything, but would he? And don't pay attention to this. This right here was just in this. This picture was just in there. Um, it says, would he? If it was me, I would have put a lot more blood out there than. I'm sorry, this is on that other case. I tried to download these things, and for whatever reason, they did not come out in the right order, and I apologize for that. But getting back to the the Michael Chambers case, wouldn't he have put more blood if he was trying to stage something of his own? And would he have walked? It looks like somebody carried him out of there. For the blood's on the floor, not would he have taken the blood? And I think if I was trying to stage something happened to me, I would have put a lot more blood out there. Plus, I would have probably drew it out in a little bit of a straight line, not back and forth. It's just really, really strange that they are saying that. Let me check this one page here. Yeah, here you go. Michael Chambers with his wife, Becca Chambers. This investigation discovery put out a lot of this information. Michael's daughter, Susie, said she believes her father and Becca, who had been together for 37 years, had a perfect marriage. But, Becca comes up and says they had some type of open marriage. Dad spoiled Becca. He doted on her. From the opening the doors to making the coffee, fixing breakfast, making dinner, he was very loving, she said. Michael's son-in-law, David, agreed with that. Michael's treated his wife like a queen. Michael was a Dallas firefighter with over 3 decades. That's 30 years, of course, is well respected in the community since retiring in 2008. Now, I'm going to tell you something about retirement. Police officers, firefighters, everything are prone to suicide after retiring, but a lot of the suicides happen within 2 to 3 years of retiring because they are used to all the go, not necessarily firefighters because they have a lot of downtime, but police officers especially, they're used to always having something to do. Every day is different, and usually if they can't handle it being, being away from that type of lifestyle and the camaraderie of their other guys that they work with. So within the first couple of years, it's always really, if I hear about one of them committing suicide or one of them dying, I think, well, is it within a couple of years of retirement? But this is retiring in 2008, and then he, it was 2016, 17. No, it'd be, if it's 3 years ago, it's 2000. Well, we'll get to that exactly. But, it's way past that, what I would consider that. He was a church deacon at the First Baptist Church, and a lot of Baptists believe that it's one of the ultimate sins to kill yourself. And he also sang gospel band, was a member of a car club and a Texas Most Wanted, called the Texas Most Wanted. There's a lot of reasons why I don't see any type, but I'm going to tell you this, depression, somebody really get depressed, it has nothing to do with all this. You could have everything in your life, be a billionaire, and still kill yourself. So that, that's just is what it is. But for all practical purposes on the outside, it doesn't look like he had a depressed lifestyle. And I don't think that was ever said. On Friday morning, March, Michael said goodbye to his wife, left for work. prepared for his day, which was planned to be spent working on cars and cutting firewood. That evening at 5:50, Becca texted Michael that she had left her job as a home health aide, and he never responded. When she arrived at the home, she found his truck was still at home. Now, we talked about this case again, but the reason why I want to go over it again is I don't believe it. I don't believe it is a suicide. And I think if they really investigate this thing, that they're going to find out it was not a suicide. But at this stage of the game, um, when you have him out just as remains, I don't know that they'll be able to tell unless he had like a big hole in the back of his head where that or something would lead them to think it was more than that. I believe this was his, if I'm not mistaken, I think this was his wife at the time. Um, let's see here. Said, but the house. He said she got home. She realized the house was dark, and Michael had not left the garage door open for Becca. For her, Becca called Michael's cell phone, but it went straight to voicemail. Worried, she reached out to a family member to see if they had heard from him. Becca remembered that Michael had mentioned going back to a property to cut firewood. Um, she recruited her neighbor to help her search for a 10-acre property for Michael. 10-acre property to search, unless it's solid woods, 10 acres is not that big at all. But they found no sign of him. Michael's garage shop was locked, and so she got the key and went inside. He had left tools, his wallet, and keys around in a way that suggested that he may have been there recently. When Becca noticed blood on the floor at 6:55, her neighbor, who was retired after a career in law enforcement, called 911. See, he might have saw something too. I'm just wondering what he thought of it there. The sheriff's department arrived, and the scene shortly afterwards. The deputy looked at any sign that Michael could have been a victim of a robbery. That's when police noticed something odd. The wallet was on the counter, and his driver's license was missing. Now, yeah, that is kind of odd that his driver's license was missing. Michael's family members pointed out the 12-gauge shotgun and expensive tools untouched. In addition, that Michael had $1,000 in cash on the console of his truck. It did not appear that's a robbery to me, the sheriff's Randy Meeks said, adding the amount of blood in the garage was minimal. Garage floor is minimal. Okay, well, so what? I don't believe also that if I was going to stage my suicide, I don't even know that I would have put blood there. What for? What is the reasoning for it? Especially that small amount of blood. Then, if it's a small amount of blood, a minimal amount of blood, why? I mean, if you're trying to stage your own suicide, I'm just wondering if you wouldn't do larger amount of blood. I don't know. It did not appear to be a robbery. This said minimal. Then the police noticed a wooden rock that appeared to be bloody prints on it. My thoughts were that someone had hit him in the head and the dowel rod and taken him. Now, see, that makes more sense. That, they did have this dowel rod out there. It had bloody prints on it, and I'm not sure if they ever got prints off of it. I'm not really sure if they ever did. But I wouldn't just automatically say, boom, it's suicide. I mean, I don't think that is. This is his daughter, Michael Chambers. Well, no, I apologize. His granddaughter, Madeline. Investigators pinged Michael's cell phone and learned that the phone was either dead or turned off, but they were able to determine that last known activity occurred at 5:50 p.m. in Lake Don Decawani area. And here's the thing, we talked about that supposed bike ride to an area at a certain amount of miles an hour. I think that, I don't know, y'all tell me, but I kind of think that was disproven, that it didn't happen like that. Where the remains were discovered did not lead down to the bridge, or lead. I think he went a different way around that on a. I just don't believe that was the case on what in the end result of that. This what I saw, and I watched the video again. Was a video from Walmart where he walked out, or they saw him leaving his car at Walmart and then going back into it. They learned that it's either turned off or they set the phone to dead or turned off. They launched a pretty massive search. Yeah, but they had everything wrong, I think, on the pinging of the phone. I just didn't get that. They show where he had last movements. They showed his car there at Walmart, and where he went around to buy his wife some makeup at 11 a.m., which is totally, like Medina said, and what other people on here, the females have said, that was totally out of character. I personally would not. It just wouldn't. It wouldn't do for Medina to send me to Walmart to buy her makeup. About it to get what she needs. I was trying to get. That was the same thing. I was trying to get the. They had some showing him inside Walmart. Well, this is the sheriff up there. And, I'm wondering the sheriff what kind of experience he has, because you can get elected sheriff with no experience at all. You don't have to ever be a police officer or anything. You could get elected. Most people don't get elected like that, but they could if, say, you had a past sheriff that was corrupt or whatever. And I'm not saying he was, but what I'm saying is this is how a lot of people get elected. Maybe he did something and went out as why. You just don't know. And for whatever reason, the community turns against him, and they're willing to get anybody in there besides him. And somebody runs with no experience at all, but he's well liked in the community. And I'm not saying this is the case, but what I'm saying is sometimes that happens. Hunt County called a team of bloodhounds to search Michael's property. They continued to alert on an area near a culvert on Michael's property, and that led him to a large pond. Authorities did an extensive search of the pond along with 2 separate dive teams, but no trace of Michael was found. Police delivered a heartfelt plea to the public. He said, I've never known a more devout Christian man than Michael Chambers, and I would trust him with my life, Sheriff Meek said in a press conference. I did not see that one. Michael's family offered $25,000 reward if he was if he could find him safe. Some family members began to raise questions about Michael's youngest son, 31-year-old Justin Chambers, who had had a rift with his father. Justin had been in and out of foster care as a child before Michael and Becca adopted him. And Michael's son-in-law, David, said that Justin had a habit of calling his father for money. And however, a few months before he went missing, according to David, Mike had totally quit. He said, I am done with this. It's time for him to take care of himself. And, that could have spurred some type of animosity towards that for his father there. Um, there's just a lot of questions in this, but I don't think we need to. I was going to show you this blood, not really need the article, but we talked about this before. That's one picture of the blood, and this is another picture of the blood. And we've had law enforcement on here before. I know that Herbie, there was a retired homicide investigator, supervisor up there in Philadelphia, and Tony had looked at this. We've all looked at this and said it looks like he's being carried, and had a head wound, was being carried. His head, as you carry somebody, it's not going to stay completely still. It may bob like this a little bit as you're. He's a pretty hefty guy, and if maybe they had two people carrying him, his head would maybe do this, would look like that, a type of trail. That trail would indicate to us that he was being carried out by somebody. And we've looked at all the different things. That's let me see. A second here. Relationship with another man that ended 5 months before Michael went missing. That she said that she believed Michael knew about the affair and chose not to confront her. I doubt that. I really do. If my wife was having an affair, and I don't care what type of relationship you have, that I don't know many men that could not confront their wives. Police says that Becky passed the other part. She took a polygraph basically, and she passed the other part of polygraph test. Based on the results, they eventually ruled her out as a suspect. Well, I'm going to tell you something. You can take 4 or 5 polygraphs, and if two things can happen, you make you pass that polygraph. One is you've taken some type of drug that's a sedative. You can pass the polygraph because it lowers all of your body reactions. But they usually have a way to get around that. They ask them, have you taken anything? And sometimes you would good. Or if you are a complete sociopath, in other words, you don't have a conscience of what happens. You don't feel guilty about killing somebody. You don't feel guilty about this. Your heart rate's normal and all this. You're a sociopath. You would possibly pass a polygraph. And I've seen people completely lie something and pass a polygraph. Police called Becky alleged lover in for question. He admitted about the affair, but the police said he had an alibi for the day of the disappearance. A few months later, Susie got a message on Facebook. The person claimed to know where her father's body was. He called Susie and that her father had been murdered, and claimed that Becca and another man had killed Michael. It said Susie called Sheriff Meeks, told Susie that he questioned the authenticity of the information because the tipster was a convicted felon. Well, I don't. I used just about 99% of the people that were informants for me when I worked narcotics and I ran narcotics unit were all felons. That's the type of people, if you're going to deal in that information, that type of information, you're going to deal with people that are not straightforward. On July 15th, Susie was shocked. She received word that her father was officially declared dead. This is a daughter, just 2 months after his disappearance. And that is strange. And I think didn't the daughter say that she questioned her mother about where her father was, or why are you selling his cars? Why are you selling this and that, and she says he's gone and he is never coming back. You hear me? He's never coming back, something like that. So that just, to me, that's very, 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 to me, strange. Um, and the video shows Michael the day she went missing at Walmart. And this is investigative discovery. Susie learned that the court order that Becca had said that was temporarily here. Wait a minute. Susie learned that the court order that Becca had said was temporary was permanent. That means that Becca was eligible to receive payments from Michael's estate for now. Michael's $750,000 pension issues monthly payments to Becca Chambers. So instead of that being, uh, the pensions he had was, I guess, it's a 401k similar, and they pay him $750 a month from there. That's a pretty good firefighter's pension. I get nowhere near that for being a police officer. I can promise you that. Um, this was him in Walmart. And, I don't know. It kind of looks like he's wearing some type of baseball cap with maybe a patch on it from Dallas Fireman, or maybe even on his shirt. So, I mean, that doesn't give any indication to me that he was in some type of suicidal state or anything. I don't know. It's strange, to say the least. Every picture, fact too, he does have a smiling face. But again, I want to say, just cause you're smiling doesn't mean you're not depressed on the other side of that face. Just cause you appear to be happy does not always say that you are. And because I can tell you, depression controls. I've seen people depressed. I have been depressed, and it has nothing to do with your outer appearance of happiness. Sometimes the old smile is a mask for what's underneath. David remembers having a strange conversation with Michael, in which his father-in-law, this is David's, I guess, his father-in-law, commented that it would be easy to disappear and make it look like an accident. I don't know why. Sorry about that, Buffin. Do have a little rain here. I hear it and I see it over there on the window. It says basically he was a devoted grandfather, devoted husband, and he would never walk away from his home and community. It's not a path he would take, Susie insists. Cell phone experts were brought in and learned that Michael's exact route on that day when he went missing. The forensic cell phone analysis showed that he had left that morning and drove through this something to 2 Mile Bridge, went past the bridge, stopped for 10 to 15 minutes. Well, see, I think that's not close to where they found his bicycle. I'd like to look at that route and see if maybe they missed it. I don't, or maybe somebody that may an indication that somebody else took the phone and went that way, and he was out. His bike was found in a whole new location. Later on that day at 2:30, Michael went back to the same location, and that's where the signal of the phone stopped. Since that data showed he only traveled at 4.2 miles an hour, Sheriff Meeks determined that Michael was traveling on a bicycle. I'm going to tell you, 4.2 miles an hour is not being slow about it. It's not being slow about a bicycle at all. And I know we're covering Michael Chambers a lot tonight, but I really feel you got a guy's remains found, and I just hope that more investigation is done about this guy, because we really feel like it's not a suicide. You can you put, oh, I believe it's a suicide. I'm really waiting to see what the coroner says. If I'm afraid he's going to come out as undetermined. I really do. Yeah, this was a little news report that I couldn't find anywhere on the internet. But basically, they were just saying that they're not sure if it's a suicide or a homicide. And why even say it could be a suicide? Because you don't know. If it's undetermined, it could be an accident. It could be a homicide. It could be aliens. Who knows? I just say that, but you just don't know. If you really don't know, you don't know. You can't just say, well, it could be a suicide, because throwing it out there as it could be a suicide, that's just making an accusation that you can't prove. Uh, Says here that Meeks said the police have found evidence, had found evidence of a motive that could possibly cause Michael to take his own life, but said, we are not at liberty to discuss this because it's still ongoing investigation. Well, it's over with that way. So if there is something like that, they need to put it out there. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe he's thinking about discovering that she had an affair. I don't know what that could be. The Hunt Sheriff's Department and many in the Chambers family believe that Michael committed suicide. But others said that their conclusion is hard to accept. Susie says that she is divided from the rest of the family because she believes that her father's disappearance was related to foul play, but says they are still all united in their search for answers. And I think that is very true, that we all hope and search for answers in any of these cases. What do y'all think? Okay, War. Wait a minute. I'm gonna highlight here for a second. Said my husband's mom died. Our window smashed in. Robbery attempted. The people came back and stole and wrecked our truck. Then this week, my best friend's son, my friend too, died in a motorcycle accident. That's awful. I believe that, here's the thing. All right. I'm glad to see Dina's on here. I didn't see her because I wasn't watching the comments. You know, I had a situation. You don't have the situations where the family could think, oh well, this person wouldn't do this, and he wouldn't kill themselves. But then you find out, hey, he really did kill himself. But we had a situation where I arrested this guy for drugs, and he had left. It was some money when we arrested him. We had taken some property from him, and he had, I don't know, $40 something on this. So I was trying to get in touch with him to give us the money back, because we weren't going to try to seize the $40. We couldn't. We felt like he probably was selling drugs, but we didn't. We weren't going to try to seize $40. Well, I kept trying to call him, couldn't get hold of him. Finally got a hold of an uncle or something. I said, hey, can you tell so-and-so he needs to come by the police department and pick up this money? He said, well, I got some bad news for you. He was killed the other day. And I asked him how it happened. And he said he was going about, I thought they were going to say, well, he committed suicide and all this stuff or whatever. But he basically did, and unintentionally, he was going to do over 100 miles an hour on a motorcycle, and a van pulls out in front of him, and he hit the side of the van. And it wasn't even enough left of him to bury. I mean, he just disintegrated just about. But, that kind of stuff's crazy. Um, um, I'm sorry that Cheat No More. Yes, sir. We're very sorry. Um, yeah, Beach Bum. Yeah, you're exactly right. He might have threatened divorce and things got because here's what you got to think about. If he's got a $750,000 um fireman's settlement for his retirement, that's a lot of money coming in every month off 750,000. He's got all these cars worth this stuff. I don't know. It just seems like it seems like that uh, somebody's got a motive for sure. Hey, don't cheat no more. Never worry about that. There's always time for us to stop and prayer, or either stop and say to you that we will do anything in our power to help you through prayer or whatever. Um, it sounds like there's a really, really super bad situation. Um, and I didn't read all of what you said, but um, that basically you're saying that your your mom's husband, I mean your husband's mom died, and windows smashed in, robbery attempted. That when all it's weird how heartless some people are. When we were mourning my father's death in Alabama, they put on one of the websites, AO.com, they put where all of your, we didn't know it at the time, all deaths in there, and sometimes they put the address. Well, somebody came in our house. We were upstairs in our house. My dad lived downstairs, and we had a little game room downstairs and stuff. And I thought it was my son. I heard the door open, and I didn't hear it close. The dog was barking, and it's before we got Maggie. We had our other dog, Daisy, and we hollered, "Dakota, shut the door. The air's on." Nothing. "Dakota, shut the door. The air conditioner's on." Nothing. And I said, something's weird about this. So I grabbed, just out of habit, I had a rifle up there. I grabbed my rifle, went downstairs. I had the assault rifle from work. Went downstairs, and the door was standing open. And Dakota was not down there, of course. And I could see, looked like wet tracks leading out. So I told my wife to call 911, and she did. And they took a canine and tracked him, a guy, all the way into the woods across the street. So um, there's some bad, heartless people in this world for sure. When you're mourning a death, they'll take advantage of it. And yeah, but that you're right, Beach Bum. But they do. They'll put the person that died, and they'll put the address, and that it was, there was no doubt in my mind that somebody probably thought we wasn't home, or they thought, because we had, maybe if the car, I think the cars were outside the garage, but people always have cars in their yard, but um, they tracked this guy for 2 or 3 blocks. He ran under houses and everything. So he was going over there to do something. But it's just like a wedding. If you're having a wedding somewhere else, and you've had all these presents at your house and stuff like that, have somebody stage your house for you and watch your house. I know that we had a big. There's a guy that lived in Huntsville that was like, he owned about half the property there in Huntsville, and his daughter got married, and they had a huge farm, long road, like it's about half mile up the road to their house, and he hired 2 policemen full time. I went out there, and another guy went out there, and we sat while the wedding was going on in his driveway and watched his house because they had so much stuff there. You know. Hello, Karen. Um, um, it's awful. Mm. That's awful, cheating them more. I really hate to hear that. Really hate to hear that. Well, um, just remember her in your prayers, uh, for sure. Remember that his young wife of the one that died in the motorcycle accident. Uh, 4 little children and one's a toddler. Um, Remember, if you can, to come over at 8 o'clock. I'm going to end this in a couple of minutes and prepare for me and Tony to talk about this. And it's pretty somber to end on, but I would much rather everybody be praying for her and her family, and that peace that passes all understanding to be cast upon her family, and that you can, peace in the homes. I mean, there's so much. Just like I was talking about Hawaii, there's so much hurt. They said that it's going to be probably, they had 36 confirmed deaths in Hawaii, and probably going to be in the 40s or 50s, and they're worried about it being even higher than that because the fires came over that area so fast. But they're all going to need some help for sure. A lot of people don't know, and a lot of the land in Hawaii, you can build a house on land, but you really can't own the land. We discovered that when we were over there years ago, back in, I don't know, 70, maybe 80s and the 80s, that you can own the house on the land, but you can't own the land. It's some type of weird type situation. Now, I don't think that's at every place over there, but that is a lot of places. Well, listen, I'm gonna just say that uh, God bless y'all, and I'm gonna go because I have to get ready for this 8 o'clock uh, thing with Tony, and yes, you're sure right, T.S. Jackson. You're sure right, and cheat no more. I promise you, we'll be praying for you, and I'm even gonna mention it to Tony that he should remember all of y'all in prayer, and sure praying for you, and Medina will too. She is. If she was here, I'm sure she'd lead us in prayer. But anyway, we're going to go. I got to go and get ready for tonight with him. So God bless y'all, and we hope to see you next Thursday. And hopefully this thing won't give us any problem tonight. Good night, y'all.